All right, and we will get started. Welcome to the second part of the open house boot camp. Was everybody either here last time or watched the video? Yes. One part, okay, great. All right. Robert, why are you here today?
To refine and improve on my open house techniques,
Okay,
become more fluent and second
so
nature.
fluent dialogue, okay? This will be more dialogue heavy. Harry?
I feel like I'm actually pretty good. I've kind of gotten into my groove of open houses,
Okay,
but I'm here to finish the class and also
okay,
just, you can never learn too much, so.
okay. And a big thing on that is, do we ever finish the class?
No.
No, this is ongoing, right? So you take it once, you go out and you start actually taking action, right? You start implementing. And then you come back to the class, hey, Rachel, and we do it over and over. That's the cycle of mastery, okay? So don't make a mistake of I've been to the class, therefore I've got it, now I'm good, right? Because we can always improve. You have your thing out of you.
So I just realized they're getting confused. I told you I was pretty comfortable with doing open house.
Yeah, which means you're gonna get the demo a lot for it.
You'll learn.
Yes, yes. Okay, a lot of times people will say that and then I'll call on them, and all of a sudden the blood just drains from their face, like, oh, no.
Let me say this with a caveat that I haven't had any problem people coming through open houses. So
Yeah.
that part I
Well,
have.
problems, but it's not really even the problems I'm worried about. What I'm really worried about is, am I setting appointments? Am I actually getting people off of my open houses? Cause that tells me whether or not I'm getting there or I've got it, right? Is what are my results? Are they showing that I'm doing something? Cause it's easy to go do an open house and just talk to people. Like that's really easy. Give them a business card, maybe even have them fill something out, but if I'm not getting anything from that, then that's where it's like,
Find the break.
yeah, I gotta have a better, better approach on this, more proactive approach, okay? Jessica, what are you hoping for today?
Well, I do like mostly with open houses, but I have one more technique.
Okay, great technique, Marissa.
Like you said, changing my approach, like the conversation I'm having with William, get them out of the office to get them from just being a guest. To even my scenario.
Yeah, so it's actual, so speaking of that, we can actually. Okay, I think we're back in action. Yes, we're working. I'm gonna go back just really, really quickly. Remember how last time we talked about this financial security of a proactive lead generator, and this ties in really what both Carrie and Mauricia said. What's the difference in these agents right here? Remember how we had phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3? What was the difference? Okay, big the skill level, right? So skill level is what moves you from you could say time in business, but it's really skill level, right? Could I expedite my skill level by the amount of training and everything that I go through, the amount of practice I put in, the amount of sparring that I do? Yes, I can, okay? Because the biggest difference here is what? My set rate starts to go up, correct? Because that's the question. If you're out there holding open houses, are you getting appointments set? If I'm holding a bunch of open houses, but I'm getting 0 appointments set, that indicates a potential problem, right? What is that problem? If I'm unable to set a single appointment when I'm having contact after contact after contact, what does that tell me?
It's not correct.
Okay.
You need to work on the script.
Okay, so scripting, dialogue, potential follow-up, right? Do you have a strong value proposition? All right. Because they're not gonna agree to an appointment with you unless they see value in it, okay? And you guys have all heard the dialogue that I use a lot, right? It's a lot of it is rooted in some momentum stuff, but my value proposition was laid out very, very clearly, okay? Matter of fact, I think I went through the dialogue in the last open house class, right? Yeah, because I always ask that one question. What was that question that I would ask?
Do you have an agent or?
No. If you haven't been enough in my classes to know that I absolutely hate that question, like I rail against that one frequently, okay?
Is it an open-ended question?
It's pretty open, it didn't, remember, I'm trying to kind of open Pandora's box, see where they're at.
Well, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I need to bring these all here.
Okay, I assume they want to look at a house, right, yeah, yeah, good enough.
Love it, maybe just like, I saw
Okay.
the open house and I just wanna see it, but I'm not looking to buy it.
Okay,
Ask the question to get their motives, how soon are you guys gonna be looking to?
okay,
What's your motivation?
What's your motivation?
Does that seem valuable to you?
okay, it's a very simple question, what process are you using? What process are you using to go about finding your next house? And if they're just out looking, then they'll say, oh, I'm just looking, I'm just kicking tires, okay, no worries, right? We can follow with that, right? But what I'm looking for very quickly is I'm looking for the people who are intentionally looking for a house. And I wanna know what process they're using. Okay, I don't ask them yet, how long have you been looking? I don't ask them, do you have an agent? I don't ask those questions, all right? I ask the question, what process are you using, all right? Because if I just ask the question, are you working with an agent, what's 98% of them going to say?
Yeah.
Yes, I do have an agent, okay, now I'm kind of backed myself into this corner, okay, it's like, man, do I continue down with this client or should I not, right? Then I have to quick go, well, so if you ever make that, I won't call it a mistake, but if you ever choose to use that dialogue, they're gonna say, yes, I have an agent, what should I follow that up with?
Do you have a signed agreement?
I could do that, I'm more interested in who is your agent.
Yeah, like,
Okay, because if they say, yes, I have an agent, I'm gonna ask them, oh, that's wonderful, who is your agent? Because I wanna personally reach out to them and thank them for sending you by my open house and answer any questions that might come up. And some of them might be able to say, I work with Joe at Remax. Okay, cool. But there's gonna be a number of them that you start to realize are fumbling all over themselves, oh, well, there was this agent, I thought. They don't have an agent yet, okay?
What if they come in, cause in the sign-in sheet, you usually will put, do you have an agent, email address, telephone number, and you already saw the sign-in sheet, they put no. And they, try to.
You know, they want
Say, I have an agent, well, you didn't put that here, so.
I could use that to call them out, yeah, I could perjure them with their own information right there, sure. Okay, I could, or a lot of times they may not mark that, or you don't even have to put it on your sign-in sheet, that's up to you, right? But I wanna find out, do they really have an agent, or are they telling me that because they wanna be left alone? But again, that's why I don't like that question. I like the question, what process are you using? Because to me, that is going to uncover a lot about where they're at in the process. Because they're gonna tell me, well, we've just been going out on Zillow and looking at open houses. Okay. Can I explain to them why that's not the best and most intentional approach? Of course I can. Maybe they say, well, I've just been calling the listing agents, I've been calling the number on the sign. Is that a good idea for buyers?
no.
Probably not. Can I explain why that's not a good idea? Yes. So really, whatever it is that they give me, I have a way to be able to respond to that. And they might say, oh yeah, I'm working with Joe at Remax. Oh, okay, that's probably legitimate. I asked them what process they're using, they say, I work with Joe. Cool, okay? And then I might go into a little more questioning and find out, have you actually seen properties with Joe? Have you signed something with Joe? And if they've signed something, it's hands off. Right, like that is somebody else's clients, we are not going to backdoor them, all
I'm
right?
not sure you hands off that way, cause I've been hit that. Where they, give me the response, yes, I'm working with so-and-so from Reese and Nichols. But then they start asking questions and so on about the house, are you hands off from that point?
No, I can answer any questions they have about the house. Yep, I absolutely can, because that's my job, I am there to try to help the seller acquire a buyer for the house, absolutely I can do it, okay? So then it leads into, so remember, I can handle whatever they say they're doing. I'm just using Zillow, going, whatever, I can answer that and then we can introduce agency, right? Remember how we do that, it's like, well, let me explain to you the value of having a buyer's agent. Okay, what is the value of having a buyer's agent for a buyer? If I was a buyer in an open house right now, and you said, have you ever heard or are you familiar with buyer agency and what a buyer agent does for you? And they say, I'm not really familiar with that, what are you gonna say to me?
Send them full representation and looking out for their best interests, legally opinionated, everything can cover a person.
Okay, is that how you say it?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, I'm here, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for you to convince me the buyer agency is a better process, right, than what I'm doing, which is looking on Zillow and going to open houses. Anybody? Are we all actively holding open houses?
Yeah.
Okay. I might stop in your open houses at some point. Why is everybody saying no? I'm curious, I might just come in and kind of shadow a little bit. Anybody, what do you say? Somebody says, well, I don't think I need a buyer's agent, what do you say?
Well, why do you think you don't even buy it? I guess I asked them why.
I don't wanna pay one, they're all the same.
And, ask them about the process, what, do they have a system, do they have a process, ask questions to get more. Deep into it, so, definitely.
No, I have no process at all.
So you're willing to go into a closing, when say you like this house, you wanna show them, the seller your pre-approval and. The seller's agent your pre-approval, and there's protection on your side because. You're gonna be now responsible, you're responsible without agency agreement, you're gonna be responsible for your paperwork. Making sure your title's clear, making sure it's correct, right?
The last listing agent told me they would do all the paperwork.
But did they tell you that they have your best interest in mind? Are they gonna stand up for you and protect you through the process?
Now we're getting somewhere, right? Now we're starting to put some value here, right? Because I understand you think you're gonna get a better deal by what, calling the sign and speaking to the listing agent. Who's the listing agent working for? The seller, okay? They're going to take you to school, basically. You are not going to get a better deal. This idea of if I go to the listing agent and get a better deal is completely false, okay? So it's that exact line, I have to build on that. Let me explain to you about buyer agency, right? How important it is to have somebody, a trained, experienced professional on your side that understands your needs and wants, right? Who's gonna make sure that they can help you find the home that you want, and more importantly, want the home you eventually get, right? You need somebody that's on your side advocating for you. You need someone who's been through this process countless times, who can find all the little nuanced things that you might miss, or that the listing agent is not responsible for catching for you. So you've got to have this dialogue, you got to work on that. That should be in your objection journal. If you don't have it, okay. How do I explain buyer agency? What is the value of it, right? How do I explain my fiduciary responsibility to a buyer, okay? So be thinking about that. Because if you're at an open house and you can't explain to somebody the value of buyer agency. That's our problem, okay? If I can't even show value in buyer agency, how am I gonna show my value? Okay, so that would be the first thing. So I bring them to that point. Everybody gets funneled into this. Remember, because we have a systematic approach on all of our conversations. All of our conversations are designed to get them to that point, correct? So I ask the question, what process are you using? Doesn't really matter what answer they give me. I can bring them to this of here's the value of actually having a buyer's agent. Someone who understands what you're looking for, they're gonna advocate on your behalf, they should be, all of those things, okay? And then where do I go from there? And we are like way off topic, but we're literally, it's okay, all right, we're talking dialogue here. Where do I go from there? I've told them how important buyer agency is. They should consider getting a buyer's agent. Where do I go from there?
Set an appointment.
I might be able to set an appointment, but they may not be bought in yet. They might be like, nah, you want to make a commission, Brett.
Maybe it would be I don't know, something simple as a blank copy of the agency agreement.
Okay.
Information, I don't.
I could give them that.
If it was like having a laptop, you have your laptop on, you could pull up and say, look, I could put you on the same search, just in case, this deal doesn't go through or whatever. Or you decide not to get this property.
Okay.
So
Everything you guys have said so far is typical. All agents say those things. Remember, the point is we're trying to stand out, right? And we do that through what? Educate the people. Educate them, okay? Now, this is some more advanced dialogue. Make sure you really practice it if you're gonna use it. But do you remember what I always would make a recommendation that they do? I had told them how important buyer agency is. They should have a buyer's agent, and then what recommendation, again, this is advanced, only if you choose to use it. What do I recommend?
Interview some
Go
and
interview some agents, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer.
I've got some questions that you said.
Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, now that I've explained to you how important buyer agency is, I recommend you go back to your friends and your family and you get some recommendations for 3 or 4 really, really good agents you can sit down and interview. Now, is that completely different than what most people would say? Oh, that's, yes. Do I need to be confident when I use that verbiage? Yes, okay? But then the follow-up to that is, and I will even give you the questions to ask those agents when you sit down and interview. And what questions do we give them?
Well, what are you?
Okay, why would I use you? I'm good with that one, right? You all know I like that question. Okay, so we gotta have that value proposition, so why would I use you? Okay, that's a big one, but what else? They need to ask that agent, what process do you use?
Yeah.
Okay. What process do you use? What is the state of the market and how will it impact me as a buyer? Right? Those are valuable questions. Otherwise, they just think, okay, I'll ask how long you've been doing, it, how many houses have you sold? Those are worthless questions. Okay? Because you guys know you could have been in the industry for 20 years and still suck. You could have sold 1,000 houses and be terrible. Okay? So it's those types of questions. Just why should I use you? What makes you different than everyone else? What process do you have? So you give them those questions and you're giving them questions that you have the answer to. Because I give them that and I say, because look, anytime a buyer works with me, I have a very intentional process. I have 108 steps that every single one of my buyers goes through and it ensures that they get the house that they want, more importantly, want the house that they get. All right. So I'm layering all that and then I even throw in, what is one more little line that I throw
I would love to be one of the people that
in?
you.
Right there.
interview.
I said, you go interview them, here's some questions to give. This is kind of what makes me different, right? Because I'm answering some of those questions I'm giving them, right? And then I say what? And if you would like, I would love the opportunity to be one of the agents you would interview for the chance to be your buyer's agent. That's how you start setting appointments, okay? Because they're hearing all that, I'm educating them, I'm already speaking different than every other agent. Because they went to 3 or 4 other open houses and they walked in, and people like, hey, thanks for coming, here's your sheet, sign it. Take a look around, let me know what you think. You get down, you're like, so you looking for a house? No, yeah, it's like, you're working with an agent. Right, don't get caught into those traps, okay? The way you start to convert is I stand out from all the other agents, otherwise we're all the same. They walk into an open house and if you behave the same as every other agent in there, what's the chances of you being the one to convert them? It's not real good. It's not real good, all right? So you let them know, look, I'd love the opportunity to be one of the ones to interview. I let them know about that process I have and I say, look, anytime I do an interview, I like to do what? Consultation. We talk about what the consultation involves. There's 4 key components and I would always hit in the consultation. You guys remember what those are? Some of them were just in the questions we asked, right? So I say, look, any buyer that comes and works with me, one of the first steps that we do is what? Buyer consultation, which means we sit down for 45 to 60 minutes. During that consultation, I like to cover 4 key things. One of them is going to be the state of the market. I'm a full-time real estate agent, which means I keep my fingers on the pulse of Kansas City real estate. I know exactly what's going on, when it's going on, but more importantly, why it's going on and how it's going to impact you as a buyer. And it's very important for you to understand that. Because if I don't explain that to you, where are you getting your information from? Social media, the news, and most of that is fake news. So that's state of the market. What else? I like to cover the steps of the process with you, because maybe you have bought a home in the past, but it's been a few years, maybe this is your first time buying a home. I want you to know exactly what it is that you're gonna experience through this process. So I want you to know every single step, when it's gonna occur, and I also want you to know all out-of-pocket expenses that you might incur. Okay, so there's 2. So already I'm laying a lot of value, okay? This is what's happening in the market. That's a whole different conversation. Make sure you know how to explain that, okay? And then what? Steps of the process. Then we cover mutual roles and expectations. I want to know exactly what it is you're looking for in your agent. And I want my buyers to know exactly what I request of my buyers. That way we have these expectations set up front. And then finally, what? The 4th thing is a detailed needs and wants analysis. Understand your time is very valuable. I don't want to spend any of your time looking at properties that don't match your criteria. Therefore, it's very important for me to know exactly what it is you need. I need to know your list of wants and we need to know the priority of those. Okay? Now, I've layered that value, and then what's the next question? I think Robert already said it earlier.
Like somebody.
Yeah, does that sound like it'd be helpful to you, right? Because I'm just having a conversation with them, right? Like, I'm not trying to push anything, I'm not trying to come across as salesy in any way. I'm educating them, I've given them the opportunity, go interview multiple agents. Here's some questions you can ask them. And here's my couple answers to those. This is the process I use. All my buyers come in, we do this consultation, here's all the steps that we go through there, why? That proactively sets us up for success. And then that next question is, does it sound helpful to you? Never in my career can I ever recall me laying that groundwork, then asking someone, does that sound helpful? Where they said, no, I don't think I need to know anything. Like they're getting ready to spend $300,000 or $400,000 on a house. Like they want to know, they're like, yes, I think I would really benefit from that. I'm like, great. Do you think I can then secure an appointment? Yep.
There's a fair chance too, that they're coming into an open house, I mean. It's not gonna be their first one, but it's expecting it just to be hey, I'm Robert, hey, here's my card, sign with me, or do you have an agent, whatever. They're expecting the whole, so when you hit them with the actual fruitful, useful conversation, it catches them way off guard. And then they'll take like their guard down, and they just don't know what to respond with it.
Yeah.
Because usually it's, no, I'm working with an agent, they don't sign in, they walk out the door.
Yeah. And to the point of just handing them the card, like it's great to give them a card. But if there wasn't anything that like set me apart from anybody else, that card is just going to the wayside, right? Because think about it, how many times you get calls off those cards? Some, if you left the lasting impression with them, right? If you left the lasting impression, there is a greater chance. However, I much prefer to get an appointment set. Now, is that gonna work on every single person? No, because not all of them are ready yet. So I need to understand, if I ask them those questions and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, these people are definitely quite a ways out. I don't need to go after that appointment right now. My conversation with them is what? It's gonna be, the power is gonna be in the follow-up, right? It's like, yeah, I want to stay in touch with you, right? I still give them a bunch of information, but I don't necessarily go for the appointment. It's, are you okay if I stay in touch with you and keep giving you valuable information like this as you prepare? They're like, yeah, that sounds fine. Perfect. What's your preferred method of contact? Don't forget to ask that. If I just make an assumption, it's like, how would you prefer to be contacted? Is it an email, a text? The problem is we'll just go ask for a means. We'll say, well, what's your email? No, ask them, what is your preferred method that I contact you with? It could be email, that's fine. Give them the option. Okay. Okay. That was kind of our intro. Okay, let's get back. And that came off of what somebody said on why they're here. But if you remember I think 3 weeks ago when we did this, we covered those financial things, we covered the beliefs, we covered getting properly prepped for the open house. We covered how to properly select the open house, how to get your signs out, doing all of that stuff. Now, we're actually day of, we arrived at the house early, we make sure that all the lights are on, the window shades are open. I don't know what page we're on in your handouts here, but it's the welcoming, the welcome. 8 or 9, there you go. So, what do we say? What do we say whenever we have somebody come to the door? I always would position myself to where I can see the driveway or walk so I can see people coming up, because I always like to open the door for them, right? Unless I had, somebody else inside that I was speaking to. So how you set that up is up to you. The workman system talks about different ways of having a welcoming table with the flowers and the tablecloth, and having a high schooler or college student, you can hire cheap sitting there working the table for you. Because sometimes that gets more people willing to sign in when it's a situation like that. You can have the preparatory signs leading up to the house. Remember those from Workman where it says, hey, it's a privilege, not a right to come in. Therefore, as they go, they're seeing these signs build on each other. Therefore, upon entry, we're going to ask you to move your shoes. We're going to ask you to sign in. All of those things. So the people are walking up, they're like, oh, I have to take off my shoes. Oh, I have to do this. That's preparing them so they're not just shocked when they walk in. Hey, sign in. Okay. You could use something like that if you choose to. Totally up to you. So they come in, and what do we say? How do we welcome? Do it. Welcome. I like welcome. Look them in the eyes, right? Yep, I was a big handshaker, COVID kind of shot that down, but I was now it's back, yeah, so hey, thanks for coming in, both house, okay? Well, here's some dialogue here, all right? So we're gonna say, hey, introduce myself to them, okay? Come in and make yourself at home. You guys just dialogue like that? Come in, make yourself at home, okay? Yes, smile, handshake. Now, here's one way you could do this. The seller would like a record of everyone who has been through the open house today. So could you please sign my guest register? Okay,
I do not like that wording,
that's okay. You can use your own.
because I don't, if I was the person coming into the open house, I would be like, what's the seller want my information for?
Okay. Security.
Yeah.
I want your information because if something goes missing, then guess
Well,
what?
no, but-
I need that list. The
Yeah.
police are gonna follow up with you, right? Okay, so if you don't like that, what do you like?
So I actually don't ask for the sign in when they first come in.
Okay,
I wait until they're done and then we're having a discussion.
okay.
So
And we have good signing on that?
Yeah,
Then use it. That's a beautiful thing, use what works. For me, whenever they came in, each person got an individual clipboard, and I did say, we do wanna keep a record of everyone who comes in, also there's a place for constructive feedback. My sellers are asking about your opinion of the home, please fill that out, Whatever works for you, like if that's getting you good, solid information, use it. These are just some options, there's some verbiage that we know will work if used correctly, but you can always use what you find best, okay? And then we can say, I would also appreciate any comments you have regarding the home on your way out. Okay, I can use that. Also, take your time, look around, let me know what you think. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Do we follow them around the open house? No, we don't do that, right? This is not a showing. I've been on open houses, if I remember correctly, I can't remember if I was there with a client or if I just stopped by, like the agent was just kind of in the background, like following us through, I'm kind of like, this is rude.
Yeah, guys, don't forget that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, look at this, it's like, you could tell me some key features when I walk in, hey, make sure that you don't miss this. Okay, I'm fine with that, but don't follow me around and point them out. Okay, that's not what we're supposed to do, so don't be the tour guide. So the key is, make sure you have welcoming dialogue, that you practiced. We do need a good way to be able to gather information, so whether it's initial or it's after the fact, I don't really care, as long as you're effectively getting information, okay? What do you do whenever you're engaged in a really good conversation? Robert just came in and he is a ready to go buyer, and he and I are sitting here talking. And then somebody else comes walking in the open house. What do we do?
say, excuse me for 1 second. Hi, and then I give them my quick spiel, and then I turn around and convert that too.
Yeah. Nobody should ever enter an open house ungreeted, ever. Okay, doesn't matter what Robert and I are talking about, so excuse me just 1 second. And do exactly that. Okay, yep, go through that exact same thing.
Usually, I've never had any kind of kickback or problem with that.
People are gonna
Yeah.
understand
They
it,
understand.
okay, they understand. If you think it's gonna be a super busy open house, can I have a second person there? Sure. Can I have a lender there, can I have a title person? Absolutely. They can be running kind of the welcome stage, whatever, that's fine, okay? All right, so make sure that we greet them and we move on from there. All right, what is our goal? Once the person has come in and they've seen the house, what are my goals? They're listed right there.
You wanna get some feedback from them.
Okay, so I want feedback, yes, I wanna do that, all right, what
If they
else?
have any questions, you can answer them.
Okay, so I want to answer any questions they might have about this house. Because until I've established otherwise, they might buy this house. I don't know, right? It's very possible they could buy this house. So I am there as a representative of the listing agent, who is a representative of who? Or who is representing who? The seller, right? So my job, by extension, is to try to help sell this house. Okay, so when people come in, until I've established this is not the house for them, I should be putting this house in the best light possible, right? And seeing if I can generate a buyer for this house. So I'm gonna answer any questions, all right? I can identify where they're at in the buyer process. How do I do that? What's the question?
Full process.
Process for using, guys. They may say, oh, we just start, okay, great, right? And then we're gonna close. How do I close? Remember all that verbiage I just gave you? Trying to close them into an appointment, that's where I would go with that, okay?
That's.
Or- Well, no, I encourage you to go get a buyer's agent, all of that is leading to a close, right? Like, if you can get that type of script down, or your variation of it, or something like that, you'll be a closer, like, you will start closing appointments. Versus, just people coming and coming and going and going and going, and cars going out and this, and we never go anywhere. Right, it's just like, yeah, I'm doing all this, I'm not getting anything, because I'm not closing anything, right, I haven't developed the skill set and all the dialogue necessary yet to start closing. Okay, and you're gonna be in this constant loop forever. Working all these open houses, talking to all these people, and yet never setting the appointments, okay? And that will start to get frustrating, after you're like, man, open houses suck, and I'm like, nah, it's not the open house, it's the problem, right? It's our dialogue, hey, Jerome, okay, so that's what we gotta be working on. Or maybe they're not somebody that I'm gonna close right now, what's the other part? Follow up with my people, okay? I might establish through my conversation with them, I'm like, okay, these folks not ready for that appointment yet. And what the typical agents just chuck them to the side. Did you know that? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, the issue is, most people that come to an open house end up working with the third agent that come in contact. Okay, why? Because agent 1 and 2 got tired and just threw into the wayside. Because they were what? There's a lot of people, 50% of buyers in open houses aren't gonna buy for 6 months. That's true, okay? Well, if I'm only there looking for the ready to go now, buyers, then guess what? All those others just fall to the wayside. So the next thing you have to do is look at your system. If you're working open houses, do you have the proper follow-up in place? Whether that's through Bold Trail and using the B and C client follow-up methods, do you have all of that stuff in place? And are you giving value? Okay, a follow-up with a client isn't just, hey, checking to see what's going on. I guess you do that once, but it's like, no, are you giving them value during your follow-ups with them? Hey, look, I know that you were 6 months out, let me know if anything has changed, I don't wanna drop the ball, however, here's some of the latest data. Here's some of the latest interest rates, or whatever it might be, you're trying to give value to them, right? So when the time comes for them to pull the trigger, who are they gonna call?
How long do we follow up? Like, how long?
Good question, okay, how
When
often
when
do
it's
you?
not like a rate flag, like if it's
Okay,
6 months or more.
okay, so someone who's 6 months out would be a what buyer?
See,
A C buyer, okay? How often do we follow up with C buyers? Once a month, very good, straight from Workman, it's built into your all schedules, right? Because we do them on Thursday, so C client follow-up. Is on our printed office calendar, it's on your personal schedules, it's the what, second? Thursday of the month, every single time, okay? Our B clients are the ones that are what, 30 to 90 days?
Once a week, right?
Twice a month, yep, so bi-weekly, so you'll see that on your calendars, I hope you guys are seeing it anyway. It's the first and the third Thursday, so when you see that on your schedule, B client follow-up, that triggers in your mind, item of value out to my B clients, okay? If I'm not doing that, I stay typical, my B clients, the conversion rates are just gonna start going down, okay? And then now I'm one of those agents who's stuck in another hamster wheel, just trying to find A clients all the time, right? I would much rather you really build out your pipeline where it's loaded with lots of Bs, lots of Cs, I follow appropriately, and then guess what? All those Bs start trickling down to A clients, right? Because a healthy database of 20 to 30 B clients that I've met at open houses and other avenues like that, is that gonna be feeding me a steady supply of A's? Absolutely, if I've done it right there, because that's maybe 20 people that were 1 to 3 months out. Well, eventually they start coming, like, oh, we're ready now, so now I have this stream of A clients that I can work with. Okay? Problem with open houses is people are only looking for the ones ready to go right now. And then everybody else just gets thrown in the CRM and thrown on the campaign line. I guess that's better than nothing, but no, they really need to be properly labeled and I need to follow with them correctly. Okay, so that's what that is talking about there. The bottom line is you must engage. I think I told you last time we were here, I remember walking into an open house one time, and the agent was at the kitchen table with their feet up. They just said, let me know if you have any questions, and I'm like, I definitely won't, right, and I'll just walk in and exit. Don't be that agent, okay, you gotta be there, you gotta be personable, you gotta engage with people, otherwise, that open house is a waste of your time. You're gonna get absolutely nothing from it, okay? Providing relevant information. So the first part of our role is kind of what we call information provider and gatherer, information giver, gatherer, right? So they're asking questions and I'm providing information about this house. But I need to make sure that I always follow my response with a question to them. Okay? That is what keeps us in control and keeping them engaged, okay? So what that might look like. I could ask them, you know, what do you think about the home? They're like, hey, it's pretty nice. How much are they asking? And I'm gonna tell them, I'm gonna say the current list price is X, but don't just stop there. Typical agent will just say that. But then you say, you know, is that in your budget? Is that what you're looking for? Does that work for you guys? And they say, yeah, actually, that's okay. They're like, what school district is it in? Okay, well, the home's in, you know, Blue Valley. It's in Blue Valley School District. Is that what you want? Okay, as long as they keep saying yes, is this house still a possibility for them? Yes. All right, so remember, as that representative of the seller, I am what? Gonna continue down that path, because they may actually buy this house. The minute that I come across a no, is this house still a possibility for them? It's not, okay? And then, once I've established that, now I'm gonna transition over to that label part, okay? So we switch roles from the information giver to that of a labeler. Here's the question they say, are you currently in the market for a new home? You could ask that. What's the question I like?
What's your time frame?
No.
No.
I hate
What
that.
process are you using?
There you go. I'm gonna keep beating that horse, right? Because I like that one. It works very, very well. It opens up a whole lot of other conversation.
Very universal.
It's very universal and it's so simple to remember. So since I tell me about your process, what are you guys doing, okay? Because that's gonna lead me to the next part of my conversation, okay? Could I ask this? Absolutely. Are you currently in the market for a new home? If I go down this path, and this is a good path too, what are their possible responses?
Yes or no?
Yes, no, yep, just looking, yep, did you look at
I
that?
did.
Okay, yeah. So those are three possible responses, okay? They can say, yes. I'm in the process of looking for a new home. What is the very first question there? Does that sound similar to?
Yeah.
What we discussed, very similar, right? That'd be similar. I just go to it quicker, but I can use it here. So if they say, yes, I'm looking for a new home, I can say, how are you going about finding your home? Or as this says, finding your perfect home. Okay, and then again, we're opening Pandora's box. So they may say, well, I don't have any process that I'm using. Okay, well, this gives you a whole dialogue path I could go. Maybe they do disclose, I have an agent. Okay, let's see. Yep, let's see. But again, even if they say they have an agent, what question are we gonna ask? Yeah, who is your agent? Cause I just wanna know, I'm really testing that, who is your agent, okay? Because they may not actually have one, they're just saying that, okay, because they all wanna say that, so you leave them alone, so I do dig a little bit deeper on that, okay? And if they can give me that name and all that, then Rachel hit it, what do I say? You signed? Have you looked at any house, have you signed anything, okay? Because they may or may not have, but if they haven't, there's fair game, right? They're fair game, it's like, okay, I'm gonna start dumping a lot of value on you. Because I want you to walk out of this open house saying, man, I was working with John over at ABC Realty, but he has not done any of this for me. All he did was set me up on a safe search and tell me, let me know if you wanna go look at houses. That's what John did. And I was there with Marisha and she laid all this value on me and I'm like, man, I'm starting to second guess my decision of agency. Okay, so we have that path. We have this if they say I have no process, and basically what all this dialogue is doing is what? Setting the stage for you to close an appointment. Okay, kind of very similar to what we were talking about, okay? Let's take this one that says no. Harry, I'll pick on you, you said you were pretty comfortable. Okay, so just work me through that dialogue right there. And I said, you know what, no, I'm not actually looking to buy a house.
So what brings you out to this house here?
I was just in the neighborhood and I saw some. I just thought I'd stop in. Get some ideas for interior, do it,
No neighbors?
yeah, no, like,
Nosy
you know,
neighbors.
yeah, I was looking for some interior design as, options.
Have you
Yeah.
considered? Have you considered selling your home?
Not really, but I don't know, I could if the price was right.
What's that, what price is right?
Well, yeah, I don't know these don't seem to like go in sequential order, like I feel like.
It's okay,
Lot.
never memorize
You never
things,
know what
okay?
it's gonna happen.
Internalize the key components.
Okay,
Okay, because then that goes on the tool belt, and that's what empowers you when a question like that comes, you're like, oh. Because I just gave you an opening, will lead you right to a different script, right?
Right. yeah,
And so we need to take that opportunity, my tool belt's ready, so it's like, oh, they just gave me an opportunity for what, evaluation conversation. So guess what, I'm gonna transition to that right there, okay?
Value of the home.
Okay, so I say, do you know the value of your home, or would you like to know the value of your home? Would you like to know what it's worth in today's market, right? I can have that conversation, okay? So the key is, again, it's not memorization, because your conversations are not gonna go in a perfect order, right? But the key is, are you skilled enough? Do you have enough of that dialogue on the tool belt where it's like, oh, we just transitioned over here? Because I might have this down pat, and then he just threw me a curveball, right? Or like right over the plate, sweet fastball, and I'm like, oh, I can hit there, right? But if I get thrown off, then I might miss that opportunity. It's like, oh, we'll transition over here. So do you see the importance of sparring on your dialogue? The importance of using that objection skill set journal to have all this dialogue in there, then you guys getting together and sitting there and just bang, 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 working through this dialogue? Yes, okay. All right, so we'll go back on track here and I won't pull you off. So you said, what brings you up today? I say, hey, I'm just looking. You said, have you ever considered your home? And I said, no. I'm gonna die in my home.
I heard a lot of people say that.
Yep, yeah, I plan to die there, which is a lie, by the way. There's a few of them that do, most of them, if they had could, they would, right, okay?
well, do you know anybody at this time who is interested in buying?
No, don't know anybody.
All right, well, thank you for coming in. Have a good day.
There you go. That's it. It's that simple,
Yeah.
right? It's like, okay, well, we're gonna say next, move on.
Yeah.
Okay? So, what about if they're just looking? I say, oh, I'm just looking today. That's a lie also, right? Like they're thinking about very clearly moving, right? They're saying, why are they saying I'm just looking? Just
They don't want to be locked in there.
yeah, they want you to just leave them alone, like it's just like going to downtown days. And you try to walk down the middle of the aisle, never make eye contact with anybody at the booths, right? Cause they're gonna start calling you over, the same thing if you open up, so like, just be locked in, don't look at the agent, don't talk to him, okay? That's a kind of response, I'm just looking. Okay, so how do we handle that? Robert?
What exactly are you looking for? Or do you want me to follow this?
I like think about this, so what did? I would be okay with that, that could open up some potential things. Now, this one here jumps straight into an assumption, correct?
Right.
The assumption is, yeah, there's more to it, okay? Because, and they're gonna, this is gonna pinpoint a little bit deeper, right? So it's like, they say they're just looking, so you say, oh, well. In an ideal world, when would you like to be in your new home? Oh, I don't know, 6 months or so, okay, now I know where they're at, all right? Okay, so then I say, Robert, yeah, I'd like to find something in the next 6 to 9 months or so.
What's the specific reason for that time?
I'm doing a job transfer.
And where are you into that?
Oh, I've already got my offer letter, that's just when my start date's gonna be, and I just wanna move a little bit closer to work.
Do you have a process there? Do you have current value on your, or value on your current home?
I'm ready,
When did you leave?
in 6 months.
Is this something you like?
Is what?
Is this house something you?
I do like this, I like it a lot. I hope it's available in 6 months.
I usually, no.
Would you mind if I stay in contact with you?
No, that'd be all right. Are you gonna actually give me some value though?
Which preferred method of contact.
Okay, yeah, I just over emailed you. Okay. Okay. Were we satisfied with that conversation? No.
You don't get a whole lot of information from it.
Pretty boring.
Yeah. It's a little bit.
See you later.
Right? Yeah, so we're seeing it, okay, yeah, so, all right, hopefully during that conversation that we were building rapport. And we were also giving some value, right, because when they walk out, I don't want them just to be like, eh. I want them to walk out saying, Robert's cool. Like, I like Robert,
That's a given.
okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, we stop by.
Nobody said no.
True. I want to be memorable, okay? So this script helps you get there, and what did I establish from this? Just through that conversation, what did I establish?
Their needs.
Okay, yeah, there's a relocation to
The
work,
motivation.
okay? It's a C client, I have the motivation, I have to move, so I actually did uncover a lot, okay? So now I even just from that bare conversation, I absolutely can follow up with them correctly, 100%. Okay, now, again, if you were there with them in person, there would probably be a little more meat to that, all right?
Well, I don't know, sometimes it's about just.
Right.
Rob,
Okay. Could be. But I've just found that I've done enough of them, if you start layering in a value, because what happens is. If I start unlocking that a little bit, do you think they have questions?
Oh, yeah.
100%. Okay, are they just gonna start opening up to you and start asking you those questions unless you open the door for them to begin to do that? Probably not in my experience. In my experience, if I didn't engage them and I didn't start unlocking some of that value for them, the questions were pretty few and far between. It was pretty closed off, right? They just came in, did their thing, and left. However, once you start opening it up and you start kind of talking about some of those things, they're like, well, actually, you know what? I was curious about this. How does that work? And then once you start getting those questions, it's like, I've got these folks. Like this is gonna form a relationship right here, because now they already trust me enough that they're starting to engage with me and start asking me these questions. It could be anything about process. It could be anything about the current market situation. It could be about anything, but you'll be amazed and you'll start to feel good whenever they start asking you these questions. And it's a lot more than just this kind of guarded, it's like, no, now they're actually engaging with me. Okay,
So this may be a totally different class, but on those C clients where you've got 6 months to a year. Do you you're emailing them or texting or calling every month, or
What do you say?
what do you say? Yeah, like, what are you spending them?
okay, and that's a good question. Technically, that is a different class. Okay. However, we can address it very, very briefly. Okay, now, B clients, I probably will never have more than, let's be honest, 12, 15 to 20, maybe that'd be really healthy. Can I follow up with them one-on-one twice a month? I can, right? That is 100% doable. What do you think one of the best ways to do it is?
Oh,
Calling is good.
I'll say, Bold Trail AI, tech, I guess, like, on the AI, you can ask if you can set up schedule a phone call or appointment.
Okay, yeah. So remember, the key with like Bold Trails, if all my B clients are in there and they're labeled under B, let's just say I have 9 of them. All I have to do is go to Bold Trail on my, B client follow-up day, pull it up, here's all 9 of them. I have their phone numbers right there, but do you think video could be employed?
oh, yeah.
Yeah, I heard that.
Video? I think that's a very effective way. We have agents that are doing that. Can I record a quick video, personal video to each one of those? Yep. Can I give them value? Absolutely. And do I want to give them the same value every time? No. Maybe one of my videos is, hey guys, this is what's going on in Kansas City this week. Or this weekend. If you guys are looking for something fun to do with the family, here you go. Is that value? Yes. What else can I give them? Value about what rates are doing? Right, I guess, do what?
Market report.
I can do market work. There's a lot of different things that I can do, but I want them seeing me, I want them hearing me, and I want them giving them value. I don't want us to be saying, hey, just checking on you. When you can do that every once in a while, but it's like, no. How's it going? Hey. I'm giving you, my top 10 things to do to prepare to buy a house, right? Like, I can have all of those guides, or, hey, here's my vendor list if it's a potential seller, right? All of these things I'm giving them. I want something of value going out, okay? That is very different than me just sending them a text or an email saying, hey, hi, don't forget I'm here, okay? I hope that answers your question or not, but now for my C clients, that is gonna become massive. Like, you could have potentially hundreds in there, right? If I'm out meeting them, that could be hundreds of people. Am I gonna be able to personally reach out to them? No. So the B clients might get a personal video where I say, hey, Mauricia, wanted to let you know about this, because I could do 9 videos in 20 minutes with different names, right? Very, very quickly. Can't do that with my C clients. Therefore, can I prepare one video to go out in bulk? Absolutely, I can, okay? It'll be a little more generic, but I'm still giving them something to want.
You can make it feel personal. even if
Absolutely, you
it's-
can. Yep. And you can drop the thing that, hey, I know you guys are still a little ways out. But just remember, if anything's changed on the time frame, just let me know right away so I can update that. I'll make sure I don't drop the ball with anything, okay? All right. So hopefully that kind of clears that up for you. We are getting close to time here. So for these, if we get a yes or a no, okay? Remember, if the house is a no, we start moving into something else, right? We're gonna try and close an appointment with, okay? Let's go if they see value in what you just gave them, okay? Book the appointment. Has anybody ever booked a consult off an open house? Mauricia, yes, okay. To me, that was my goal going in, is I want to book appointments. Or what was the other thing? Remember, there was 3 things. I want to book the appointment, or what? Know how to properly follow up. If I can walk out of an open house and have accomplished that with 1 or more people, that open house was a win. Okay? If they are open to the value that I laid out, book the appointment. Okay, book that appointment. Make sure that you write and do your thank you cards. Okay, everybody does those, right? And then before, does everybody make sure that they confirm their appointments? Yes, day of, if you have a consultation or a listing, or maybe a first showing with a buyer, you had better be what? Confirming that appointment, okay? Otherwise, if you show up and sit there and nobody comes, that's a fail on our part, okay? You need to make sure you are confirming your appointments. Now, what if? Let's say I went down, kind of did this path, it was on, I think it was here on the left side. And I go ahead and try to schedule an appointment, maybe you didn't use some of my verbiage and lay it all out as well, or you weren't as practiced, whatever, and you start to get pushback. You go in for that appointment, ask, and they say no. Can't you just email me the information? So if I get that, it means I didn't do as good a job, right? Doing what? Layering value. Okay, so then it's like, okay, I need to go back and clean that up a little bit. But here's some dialogue for that. Can't you just email me the information? Okay,
So that means they're trying to get away from you because they don't see the value.
potentially, right? And one of our beliefs is what? Time is limited. You agree with that? Our only limit is time, so time is limited. We must invest in vital activities only. Okay, what does that mean and why does that tie in? It says consistently emailing information to behaviorally unwilling buyers is a high risk venture. Why? Serious buyers behave like serious buyers, okay? And what that means is if I truly lay value, if I failed on laying it, that's on me, I need to clean it, but if I truly layer value and I start meeting this resistance, is this truly a serious buyer? That's the question I have to ask. If they are not a serious buyer, how much time am I going to be willing to invest with them?
Not much.
Very limited, okay, so make sure that we're careful about that. If they are not a serious buyer, you need to what, figure that out quickly. Well, they will waste a lot of your time. How do I figure it out quickly? The right questions, right, which lead into motivation, etc. So if I get this, I layer value perfectly, there's still resistance, now that triggers in my mind, ooh, this may not actually be a serious buyer. Like they said, there's some verbiage for that, right? Well, I can say, do you not see a benefit in us getting together? Is there something that's not helpful about that to you? Okay? What if they say this, other agents don't have me do that? Anytime I hear somebody say, other agents don't, what should that immediately trigger in my mind?
That you stood out.
This is my chance to shine. Anytime someone says other agents don't, this is my chance to shine, okay? So I can say exactly. Okay, and we're gonna wrap it here, but remember that, exactly. Your typical agents do not have you do this, and then you need to be able to go into why. I have a process that I use with all my clients, okay? And then be able to layer the value of your process.
If the money have attention to you, it's since you've done something different, you did for something that they are not used to seeing.
Yeah.
So now you might have the attention. Well,
And remember, on public surveys, where do agents rate?
Car sales.
Car salesman. That's what, if you go survey people, we rate with car salesman, okay?
Used car salesman or new car salesman?
I don't know which one, either way, right? That's not the place we wanna be. We want people to see value in us. They want us, I want them to see us as professionals. So that's why we stand out, okay? There's some more advanced dialogue that have with you on what you can say to justify the meeting. And this is if they're working with another agent. Okay, some dialogue for you there. If they're not a buyer. And then if they're just local, so you have some dialogue for those, and then you have some follow-up dialogue. And then some of your note cards, you can see that, okay? So this only works if you guys get in there and start really working on the dialogue. Okay, because successful agents know what,
Say, how to say it, when to say it.
that's right, and they can do so without hesitation. Okay, if you get your dialogue down, you will be amazed at what happens. Remember that financial ramification? It went from what? The set rates started to increase, the show up rates started to increase, and then the conversion rates increased. So agent in phase 3 was putting in the same amount of hours as agent phase 1, and they went from 9 closings to 45 closings. See the difference? So your dialogue, your practicing, your scripting, your sparring of all that is critical. Okay?
Let's see it work.
All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.